Alright, so let's look at some of these problems here from section 3.13 with these first ones. All right, with these first ones you're solving. All right, this one right here you're solving. All you're doing just like we've done before. All right, add 5 to both sides, get that number, divide both sides by 3, and then end up taking. We have to take the square root here. All right, and just remember when you take the square root, you're going to have two answers. All right, when you get to number 2. Factor just like we've always been factoring. All right, remember you multiply a times c, try to figure out what you're going to get. All right, but because it equals 0, we have to solve, so that when you get, what you end up doing is after you factor your two factors, set them equal to 0 and then solve. All right, no big deal. When you get to number 3, in this case, you tried to factor it, all right? And when you factor, you're going to multiply a times c. And like I've said before, I'm not worried about the negative, just a times c. So we end up with 11, and the factors of 11 are 1 and 11. Well, I can't get b. I cannot get b. All right, there it is. I cannot get b with using 1 and 11. So um, the question is, can the following equation be solved using the technique? No, I can't solve it because I can't factor this. I cannot factor that equation there. All right. So since I can't factor, I have to use the quadratic formula. All right. And there's the quadratic formula. It comes from it comes from this thing. So this here it is. All right. So a is always going to be the number in front of x squared. B is the number in front of x. C is the number that's by itself. All right. So whatever the formula, whatever the equations are, whatever equation we're given, we're just plugging the numbers in, a, b, and c, and let your calculator do most of the work. All right. So let's look at number 4. With number 4, a is 2, b is 11, c is -6. So you're plugging it into the formula. X is equal to. All right, and again, here's the formula right there. I don't know if you're going to have to memorize it or not, but it's best to have it memorized. So when you're plugging stuff in, always use parentheses. So b is 11. Well, there happens to be a negative. All right, there happens to be that negative right there in front. So make sure you don't screw that up. That negative, plus or minus the square root of, and every time you substitute, always parentheses, 11 squared minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is -6. Sorry, there's not enough room here. X is equal to, oops, sorry, I forgot to divide. All right, divide all this mess by 2 times a, which is 2. All right, so now x is equal to -11 plus or minus. Grab your calculator, plug all that stuff in underneath the calculator, and you end up with 169 all over 4. Well, when you get this, take the square root. Square root of 169 gives me 13 over 4. Break it up. You're going to have two answers. There's your two answers right there. So you have to break it up. -11 plus 13 over 4. And then we have x is equal to -11 minus 13 over 4. So -11 plus 13 gives me 2 over 4. Reduce that down 1/2. Over here, -11 minus 13 gives me -24 all over 4. -24 divided by 4 gives me -6. So there are my two answers. Remember, you're going to end up with two answers here.